Long time no see. Yeah, I've been away. Okay, let me get serious. Um, but anyways, thank you all so much for joining me in another video. Today's video is really going to be what I'm sensing, just listening, reflecting, sharing. Um, yeah, and again, I'm grateful that you all are here on this journey with me. And if these videos inspire you, or you just like listening to them, thank you for being here. And I also just want to recognize that a lot of these videos are testimonies of my own life shared by me, and very much video diaries, giving very much here is like the growth and the challenges and what I'm flowing through in this season of my life anytime I like drop a video. So again, just big thanks and just appreciate you all for watching. So there isn't a specific flow to this video. I'm just going to be sharing and allowing myself to just flow through. So there's no, I would say there's no specific maybe time frame for this video. So yeah, if you want to grab a snack, if you want to grab a drink, if you want to grab some water, feel free. I'm going to have one of my strawberry basil sparkling water from Ora Bora. These are really good. I like them. And then we will get started. You hear the fizz? Okay. Where to begin, actually. So, yeah, I know where I want to start. I wanted to do this video outside, okay? I want to do this video outside. But as I was getting ready and then I went out to my backyard, I was just like, oh, it's cold. It's cold. And so I'm just gonna come back in. I'm just gonna come back in. And it looked like it had rained this morning or last night. Yeah, we had a bunch of rain last night, and I know the plants are watered, so I don't have to go out there to do that this morning. But yeah, I wanted to be in the garden. The garden, as I often say, if some of you may have heard me. I know some of you all know me in real life. That the garden teaches so much. Right? Whether it's like fortitude or patience or compassion or discernment, right? And I feel like that's really kind of what I'm sitting in right now, is that stillness and that discernment of life in the many ways that I'm flowing through in my personal life, and that which has to do with, my business as an entrepreneur, as a mystic. So, yeah, what I want to say about that is, there's so much in bloom. There's so much to be grateful for right now, in this present moment, and just in general in this season of my life. The garden really reminds me of the importance of celebration and celebrating oneself and our accomplishments. And what I'm being reminded by Spirit right now is like there's a scholarship that's due in June, and one of the feedbacks that I got from my mom when I had asked her if she could read like my writing sample, like my application basically, of like why I wanted to be in it, like what this could be, what's my goal, what's my, like how does this tie into this, that, and the third. And it was really like listing all the things that me as Diamond I have done and I've accomplished, and just being able to recall and remember all the ways that I've grown and the skills that I've acquired and that I've embodied, and really recognizing, having that recognition of like, wow, like you actually are going for your dreams, you actually are doing the thing. And here is all the many ways in which they are flowing through. So yeah, the garden really slows me down and reminds me of that. But I also just want to speak to what else is happening in the garden, right? We have many different flowers: sage, roses, lilies, just so many flowers, chicory, honeysuckle, so many things that like are in bloom. And that I even see in like the trees. You know, we have a lot of small trees and a lot of like fruiting, like what are they, like bushes and fruiting plants. And what I'm also noticing is that the pest, right, or the bugs, the spotted lanternflies, for example, they have this like straw-like mouth that basically zaps all of the sugary sap and the sugar out of the plants. And there's also the cicadas that are like they literally are coming up from the earth, because that's often where they will go to have like their larvae and the babies and things like that. And they're like really big right now, and they also have that straw-like mouth. And so what I wanted to share about that is really paying attention of like what's being asked, right? Like when we see that maybe a plant is growing a certain way, or we're having like aphids and bugs eat the plants, and the plants are showing visible signs of different things, it's really being able to get out of like, oh, this is what I imagined the garden would be, and like I really wanted it to happen this way, and it's like getting out of fantasy and really looking at like what's the reality of like what's happening in this present moment. And recently I've been using the row cover. So it's like this thin white cloth, you could say. You find many farmers use it, some gardeners, but more so on a large scale, farmers use it for covering their crops, to keep heat in, to mitigate pests, and really to protect when, maybe it's like really chilly out at night, or we're going more into the fall and winter, and we are wanting those like tender greens to be protected, right? And so we have a couple of raised beds out there, and so I'm, with the help of family, like cutting the cloth and covering the raised beds, because we don't want like anything to happen to the vegetables that I've put out there, and the herbs and the flowers. And eventually we'll do that with the trees that my mom has out there, that she has acquired and has been a steward and tender to, because we're noticing that they really love the pawpaw tree. And also it's like a part of that can be like annoying. Oh my gosh, it's so annoying to have these pests and like these bugs that are invasive here. And like, thank you thank you to the plant for showing visible signs that like something needs to be paid attention to. Something is actually like happening, and we're trying to we're giving visible cues of that. So the small plants and the trees will also be covered. If you all don't know, they often there's many plants that the spotted lanternfly is like the host of, but the one that we have that's at an abandoned house like next to us is a red maple. And so in the springtime you'll see like the nymph, like the small spotted lanternflies, and then later on in August and September they get much bigger. But in the fall, basically they use these host plants to basically hide their eggs in, and they'll create like a paste where they'll use mud and they'll cover it. And so basically what this is a sign of is like the life cycle is always for these for these bugs. So they originated from Asia. So it's just really interesting when when bugs migrate, right? Because it can be through cars, but it can also be that they like climb up on people's clothing when they travel. And so it's almost like inevitably there will be quote unquote invasive pests or invasive plants. So that's really what that's one of the things I wanted to share about, and that I'm really grateful for this month's listening woman, because she speaks to the clan mother of the Teal way, of being in the stillness, right? To be able to truly hear what our hearts desire and to truly hear all of nature communicating to us. We really have to, it really requires us to enter the silence and really listen to the ever-present messages of nature into our hearts, and the viewpoints of other humans and the creatures and the plants and the great mystery as our teacher. And, as she was journeying through the earth at the very beginning, if you all go back and listen to the recording, we noticed how it really took her experiencing becoming like human, of like tuning in and learning how to like eat and sensing her body and things like that, and how she embodied those experiences. So then she became the keeper of introspection, the keeper of discernment, and things like that. And I guess that pulls me to like my next point of like this being a month of really like hearing myself speaking to others, and how people speak to me, and how I'm interpreting the way that the way that it's coming across, and also how I'm hearing myself, right? And so I was finding myself asking, like, why aren't things working? Why don't people want to come to the things that I'm hosting, or like my workshops, or certain offerings that I have on my website? And I was just like tuning into that, and I was just like, oh, maybe because there's a lot of like force energy, or a lot of like I want to get this, I want to understand this, I want people to see, a lot of like force, or a lot of what's another word for that? I don't know, I don't want to say like beggy energy, but just really like trying to really get the thing, trying to really understand. And I was noticing how like the importance of flow and the importance of ease, and in a way I felt that I was boxing myself in, to the point where I was just like, okay, well, I'm a medicine maker, and I grow the different herbs and the plants that are going into these offerings, and this is me, right? This is Diamond. Or I'll be like, I'm the gardener, like I'm the farmer, and it's like, not that those things aren't true, and there's so many other things that come to me naturally, and remembering to tap into those other things. For example, I'll be going to go do a house, like a apartment cleansing, tomorrow, June 1st. And naturally, those are things that I'm like good at, or I like to do. And or when I think about how I provide like bespoke massages, and like setting the tone, and setting the sounds and the lights and the smells, and the experience of comfort and of ease and of rest and renewal, and also just like oracle card reading. Like I'm really good at that, and so it's almost like remembering all parts of ourselves, and not just being like, this is what I feel like the world needs, or this is what kind of got people in the door at first, and now that's it. It's like, no, really remembering all the things that you like to do, all the things that light your heart up, all the things that flow through, that you naturally find yourself wanting to do, And let's see what else wants to come through. Yeah, and I'll also just speak to like discernment of like what actually happens in the body, right? So when I'm finding that like people aren't really like wanting this thing, or like, why am I not getting this? Like I find that there's like almost like this tension, or the body tenses up, where when I just allow things to happen, there's this natural like opening. And also when I do my energetic hygiene, I actually feel much lighter. I feel very airy and clear in what's true for me. So that's something that I've been like listening to and actually hearing, and it not just being like, I'm sweeping this thing under the rug. And the next thing, the themes, yeah, I have it here. It's like the themes have been like slowing down and listening, and just like yeah, listening and really hearing. Next thing I want to speak to is like my hair. I recently finished my retwist Memorial Day. That's the last day I was doing it like bit by bit, because I was noticing like I actually don't like the feel of like rushing within 2 days to relock my hair, to retwist my hair. Those that get it, you guys get it. You know what I'm talking about with like if you are a DIYer and you do your own like self reties, you get it. So I had learned a couple reties ago that I'm actually gonna split it up into days, and I'm actually gonna section the hair and be like, this is what this I'm gonna flow through this section today, the next day that one, the next day that one. But as I was doing my hair, mind you, it was like 8 weeks out. Girl, it was 8 weeks out since I had did a retwist. 8 weeks. So I had a lot of new growth. But I was just like, oh, that's what's up. Like, oh, that's like what's happening in my hair. I was like really noticing. I was just like, oh, I want to color it like the next time, right? But then I was also noticing. I was like, I wash my hair, and I do a really good job at doing that. But like my hair is actually asking for like a detox. Like it's actually the next time I wash it, it's really asking for like me to do kind of like an ACV rinse. I also saw this a few ladies here on YouTube. They have like bigger locks, but they have actually did this kind of cleanse first with Dawn dish soap, and that got a lot of like the gunk that was in the hair, strand, not at the scalp, but actually within the hair strands. And I was just like, oh, that's actually not a bad idea. So it really goes back to listening, not of like what I'm perceiving is like the truth of like about my hair, but actually what my hair is also like informing me of in each and every moment, right? Because in each and every moment, what our hair needs is going to be different. In the winter, what your hair needs is not going to be the same as what your hair needs in the summer, and that's just facts, right? So there may be some similarities of the type of hair routine that you maybe kept up with, but it may be like, oh, I actually need more of a deep conditioning, or I need a protein treatment, or I actually need not just deep conditioning with like this clear kind of cap on my head and me just like waiting. I need to actually sit underneath a heater or like a steamer, or I need a trim, or actually my hair doesn't like this hairstyle, so let me figure out like what it is that my hair actually is asking. Maybe it's no more tension on the hairstyle, on the hair, maybe it's no more pulling your hair back into these ponytails, because it's causing maybe some type of like hair loss or some type of tension at the front of the hair. So we have to get really curious and move out of our own way of like what's actually being shown to us, and I'll be very really vulnerable in this video, because again, this video is also for me to go back and to rewatch, right? And I get to share what I want to share on my channel. I recently had like a health it's not like a health scare, but they ran like blood work, and I was finding that like my LDL for the cholesterol was like borderline, right? For like my age, it was like as my like brother would say, like it was only like 1 point above what's considered like normal, right? So it's very easy for me to like change what I need to change, and it's not that big of a deal, right? But it reminded me that balance of what we eat, right? Because you know, if you just kind of eat whatever, or if you know you're often only buying fast food, or you're only maybe eating whatever it might be, right? There isn't a balance. There isn't a way for the body to receive maybe all the nutrients that it actually has the capacity to, right? And for me, you know, I'm vegan, and I'm someone who believes that people should eat and nourish themselves however their body is asking them to. And in that regard, I really mean that I'm not a stickler for like everybody here needs to be vegan or vegetarian, right? Because truly, based on some people's how their body is, they they may find that their body feels more nourished and resourced eating another type of way compared to being vegan, or vice versa, right? So for me, I was finding that I like chips. I really do. And they're so yummy, and there is often like a high saturated fat or trans fat, and that actually doesn't like work for my body. And so me really noticing how in the last couple of weeks I've kind of just been slacking, and so there's just a call to be more balanced in the way that my plate looks when I eat, and how much vegetables I'm intaking, how much protein, how much fruits, how much water I'm drinking. That's a big one for me, like making sure that I'm staying hydrated, and also movement, right? Like I don't want to live this kind of like sedentary life where I'm not actually like moving my body, that I'm just kind of like eating, then sitting, then eating, then laying down, then, but I actually want to move. And so it has been a while since I've had my gym membership. But that just goes into the next thing. But once I'm back from my trip, possibly. But I know that I'll also be working out while I'm there. I'll also naturally be walking, naturally moving my body while I'm at the location that I'm going to. So I just wanted to bring that in, of like the importance of people going to go get their yearly health checks, their physicals, doing blood work, their labs, that kind of a thing. You know, to really like know where you are, to really know like what's happening with my body, and what actually now this year at this time, like how do I get to, right? Like let's remove the need, but how do I get to take care of my body and steward this body that really is going to be with me my entire life, this entire lifetime. How can I really protect it? How can I show my gratitude towards it? And how can I be, again, a better steward, or a more aware, a more present steward to this body that I live in. So, yeah. That moves me to my next topic. Going to Virginia. I won't give too many details, but I'm going to Virginia in a few short weeks. Oh my goodness! And I'll be there from June, basically into like the beginning of August. But we'll see what ends up happening. I'm very like open to things being shifted. I'm not really tied to how it needs to be. So I'll be going to Virginia, and for those who don't know, I'm in an apprenticeship program, and it's called Etheric Gardening, and I love it so much. It really has to do with the mysticism of sound, earth stewardship, being a flower essence practitioner, energy work, all the beautiful, beautiful things, working with the devas, the nature spirits, really, really becoming this clear channel so that, if it is grid work or if it is land work and traveling, whether etherically, through meditation or through like actually traveling to places, me really delving deep into like what's happening in my life, what's, and really being present and really releasing, old stories, old narratives. It will allow me to also be able to be that clear channel to share the messages of the temple that I'm currently stewarding. This is like the temple, like my home, the physical space in which my home altar lives for this program. And to better really be present with the information and the wisdoms that flow through me so that I'm able to share those clearly. And so with that, I will also have an altar there, where I am in Virginia, and I will be in a place where it's a lot of wildlife in the mountains, and learning more about native plants and invasives, and I'll be doing a lot of gardening and building there. And so basically my point is, I'm trying to get to the point, is that I'll be taking a few things that I really feel called to, like the charcoal and the resins, the incense, the shakers, the different sounds that I work with, my mantra and chanting beads that I wear and that I work with every day. I'm taking my mantra with me, the song that I'm working with, also the flower essences. I wanted to have one here with me, but just imagine me holding up now a 0.5 milliliter bottle, and I'm going to be making flower essences. Within the apprenticeship, it actually comes with a 72 essence kit, but I did not purchase that, so I will be making the flower essences that I do have, that I made in the last couple of years, and those will actually be journeying with me. And to really, really get curious and about the land, and really creating space, and really clearing the space as I get there, like the physical space I'll be in, but also providing offerings for the land of like my own my gratitude of being there, and also just getting really curious, and again listening and going back to this whole point of this video of listening to that which naturally unfolds without there being this like need to grasp or this need to know beforehand. Just allowing the experience of what wants to come through, and what actually I'm there to experience, allowing that to naturally happen. And a few other things that I wanted to just mention quickly about this theme of listening and slowing down is, the next thing was like my henna, and not rushing myself, and going one hand at a time, and being willing to listen. I got the clear sign that I'll be working a lot with henna this year, and especially with this 9-month apprenticeship that I mentioned that I am grateful to be a part of. And so with that, I'm doing my henna myself, and so each time I feel like it's really moments and days of slowing down, right? Because you can imagine that when I finish this design, that naturally there has to be that time of patience, that time of rest, of this, allowing this paste and this plant to really dry, and so that it takes a full day. And then I did this hand the next day, really love henna. It's a plant that's it's antiseptic, it's antifungal, antibacterial. You'll often see people in like northern Africa and also in the Middle East. They often put it on like the legs of their animals if there was any wounds there, or any open wounds. But also it's a plant that's really cooling in the summer. And it represents so much, right? Prosperity, abundance, but you often find people wearing it, women wearing it to like mark a rite of passage or like marriage, childbirth, just different things. And there's so much more. That's not it, but there's so much more. But those are just the things that I felt called to share. And yeah, I love it. I'm building a relationship with it. And with me building a relationship with it, it's not just like, oh, I want to learn how to make this henna, and like I have to like have the perfect designs ever. It was really like, okay, well, what are one or two designs that we want to start off with? Okay, well, let's like learn how to do those. Like, let's take the time to learn those and not rush it. And so for me, I do a lot of freehanding. I know that at some point I do want to start like practicing those intricate lines and those nice designs, but right now I really feel fulfilled in what I'm currently doing. So but my point is at first I really wanted to like have both hands done in the same day, but I was like, this is just not practical. It's not actually practical. It's not actually simple. It's not actually easeful, because if I'm doing it midday, then if I'm hungry, how am I going to cook? How am I going to change my clothes and get ready for bed or brush my teeth, that type of thing, if like both hands are hennaed at the same time. And it wasn't really making sense. And I was finding that I actually was like getting a henna on like my clothing and in different spots in my hands that I just didn't want it. So I was just like, okay, well, and also I was also asking other people to do it. I'm like, those people actually like, they may not want to do it, and that's totally okay. It's my thing. And so I've now just been doing it one day at a time. The next thing is be not driven solely by sight. Really ask and know what's coming. So when I was typing that up on my notes app on my iPhone, it was really in regards to a job. And then I said, when I'm rush, I find employers who are rush. So not just applying for things for money, but really deeply investigating the company and their morals. Pay attention. So yeah, I'll speak to that. I really hope that you all can hear me. I'm realizing that I didn't really have my microphone close to me, so I hope the video is not compromised, but I'll put it here on Ellie's ear, my elephant. Maybe that's making more sound, actually. Take it off. But yeah, I recently have been applying for a lot more jobs, and one of the jobs actually, like a day or two after I had applied, it was a concierge job. I won't specifically speak to the name or the name of the company, because I don't find that that's like actually important to. I mean, it's important, but I just don't want to share those details here. But yeah, let me see what's to actually flow through. Yeah, I was noticing a lot of similarities to a concierge job that I had left back in, this was 2023, and how like the locations were similar, even though they were in two different states. The setup of the luxury apartment complex was similar. There was just so many reviews about like how working for that company was just not it, and not from a place of like employees themselves were speaking to it, but like a lot of it of how like the tenants were treated, and it just wasn't something that I felt like aligned with my values, or even I didn't feel that me personally I could morally work for a company where I do know that because I know, because of like me doing my research, that the the clientele, the people who are actually living in these places that are being managed by this company, that they aren't being treated well. And it was like case after case after case, experience after experience after experience. Just like, no, I don't really want to do this, And also, I had to kind of explode matching pictures, and that's kind of a practice really that I've been learning, and have had a part of my tool belt of really like um, finding myself triggered from past experience. So that was what was coming up, and then actually the practice of clearing that, coming into present time, coming into flow, right? And so really what I was noticing is that I didn't want to put myself in a situation like that again, of like of the people who I quote unquote should have been able to go to tell that these things were happening, them not doing anything about it. And I was just like, also this job is not actually what I genuinely want to be doing. And so I noticed, I was like, oh, I see what's up. Like, I see what's going on. I actually applied for that job out of desperation energy. Like, let's be honest. That's really what that was. And it doesn't need to be any judgment there. But it's really catching ourselves. And it can be, it can be really, really, really like a fine attunement and a very like thin line sometimes of like what our intention is, what we think the intention is and what it actually was. And just like how sometimes there can be this thin line of like actually being fully present and fully knowing like what's coming through, and then disillusionment, or actually like being outside of our window of tolerance and actually like not being in reality, not being grounded in reality. And so I just wanted to speak to that, of like really being clear and catching ourselves of like, is this actually the thing that we genuinely want? Is this actually the thing of like the path that we genuinely want to be going down? Or is there something else that's kind of feeding our intention? Like, is there something else that's really that really is the character, right? Like, is there something else that's really driving? That's it, not the character, but the driver of it. Like, are we in survival, or is this an actual natural, truly thing that we want to pour our energy into? Or are we being driven by, this is what society wants, this is what our parents want, this is what I should be doing? You notice that voice. Yeah. But that voice, even that, it's just like, no, no, this is not what I want to be doing. This is not how I want to be showing up, and it's also not really authentically me in the diamond who I am in this time in 2025. That it could have been me once when I was learning from that perspective of like, oh, I'm actually learning from desperation, or I'm actually learning from whatever. And again, there's no judgment, but we get to be the ones that really choose. We get to be the one that chooses our experience and our adventure, right? And so so that was within that day or so, because at that point I was like, oh, this person is asking me to do an interview, to interview for this position. It's like, I could have done it, but it just wouldn't have been truly me. It wouldn't have been something that I truly wanted, but just like, oh, I need to actually like make money. I need to actually this or that. And I would have been creating a story that just wasn't authentic. And then the next thing, I already spoke to that, about paying attention to the body and the foods we put into it. And I also kind of spoke to, in a way, like a part of, again, this work with your gardening is sacred sites work. And really taking up space and tending to the altar, tending to ourselves, our bodies as altars, and our space as altars, right? Because we believe that um, our brain and our hearts and our organs and our fascia and our blood and um, everything within us that makes us us, and these bodies, um, like it takes care of us. Why not we take care of what we are nourishing ourselves, not just the food, but also what we listen to, what we are watching, type of conversations that we're having, and also do the same in the spaces, right, in the home. If you notice that, yesterday I noticed when I was doing an energy work in the attic, that's where my altar is. It's like, oh, there's actually a leak. There's actually a leak in the roof, and it not being like, oh, I'm just upset with the property managers, because I've caught myself in that too. How could they not have known that this was going to be an issue? um, but it just being more so, oh, I'm noticing this thing. Now, what do I want to do about it? How do I want to actually take responsibility for? How do I actually want to show up for this? Show up for life, show up for this moment. And so for me, I just, I sent some photos to my mom, and they're going to upload it to the platform that they use to speak with, like, the property managers for the home that we're in. But my point, going back to my original point of this, was just like us stewarding the home, right, and right, being in right relationship with our home, and as it covers us, as it protects us, and gives us a place to rest, a place to nourish ourselves, a place to be with our loved ones, and a place of comfort, of a sanctuary. Why not us also take care of the home when we notice something happening with the roof, or with maybe the porch, the flooring on the porch, or maybe a part of the house needs to be painted, or there's some type of renovation that can actually be beneficial to the energy and to the home. Why not give that? And I forgot my point in like saying all of this, but yeah, just like, yeah, I totally forgot my point. Let me see if I can go back to see if there was anything. Yeah, but I guess just tending our homes like we would a sanctuary, tending our homes as we would a sacred site, right? Like if you go into a sacred site, let's say Mount Shasta, or Sedona in Arizona, or Mount Fuji in Japan, or I don't know. There's so many. A specific river in Peru, or for me even some of the parks in like Mexico City. Like you don't go there and you don't go there and you're trashing it. You don't go there and just dump things on in like in the whether it be something that's like food or waste or whatever. It's more so taking care of it, right? Like really taking care of it. And yeah, so that's what I wanted to share. Just taking care of ourselves, taking care of our vessels as sacred sites, and our homes as sacred sites. And yeah, I think maybe that may have been it for this video. I told you all this video was going to be a long one. I told you. But yeah, and so I guess if there's nothing else that actually wants to flow through, even my foot's falling asleep, so I know it's time to close out. But I'm curious, what has this month of May taught you all about listening and slowing down? Has there been anything that's been really pertinent to your life experience that has come to surface, that has been really embedded maybe with those themes of listening and shedding and slowing down? And oftentimes I think that there's this idea that like when we're going into summer, that we have to always be go, go, go. But for some people, right, in some people's experience, summer is actually a time where they're deeply listening about what uh, what creations wants to be birthed and shared with the world, right? It's this deep presence, this deep focus before the go, 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 or before the, right? And so I don't even think that it has to be this go, go, go. It's more so doing the thing, doing, having the inspired action, but being so deeply in tune with self and what's coming through. So I guess I also, yeah, with that, I also want to say, like, really looking at our relationship with the seasons, or like what we think this season means, or what we think this season is requiring of us, and really asking, like, is that true? Even if that may be true for maybe other people that we are friends with, or that we know, it doesn't always mean that we need to be doing the same thing, because often too we can get caught up and this is what everyone else is doing, but really it's about what's happening with you in your own backyard, right? Like, what's actually happening with you. um and so, yeah, just getting really curious about that. And oftentimes I know that there's this want to, like, not miss out, or like if I'm not going as fast as I can, that, like, inevitably there will be FOMO, or like, I'm there's just, yeah, it's just feeling of like missing out. And what I want to share is like, you actually can't miss out on like what's for you. Like, I know that as cliche as that may sound, you really can't, like, it just may show up in a different form, or it may just show up in a different time frame, but you actually don't ever miss out on that which is for you. And when you're ready for it, you're ready for it. And so don't beat yourself up if you're not maybe where you in your mind thought that you should be. And I also want to say that those out there who are healing, and maybe you think that people can't see that or don't know that, it's like you also are doing big work, right? Like, healing is big work, and it's revolutionary work. My friend, a close friend of mine, she would probably say it's some of the biggest work you can be doing. It's revolutionary. It's heart revolutionary. To be healing, right? Because some of the things when we feel like we're blocked, or we feel that things aren't working out, there's this energetic, uh, what is it? There's energetic imprint that's there, right? That we get to look at. We get to look at what's happening. So, healing is big work, and it's work that we need. So, yeah, that's all that I will say. If there's anything that else that flows through, I'll probably put it in the bio, or the info, whatever that section is below the video. But I think that's all. I'm also curious about what plants are in bloom where you are right now. A lot of the plants that I grew from seed a month ago, 2 months ago, like, they're just doing great. They're doing great, and many of those, before I leave in the next couple of weeks, will be going out, so that it's growing, and the family can go out and harvest these beautiful, beautiful vegetables and plants and edible flowers when they feel called to, and really being able to explore recipes. That's another thing too, of slowing down, of like, let's really tune into maybe some of those old recipe books we have in the back of the kitchen. Yeah, so I think that's all. I think that's all that I wanted to share. Thank you all so much for listening. Yeah, thank you all so much for listening, and remember to listen closely, you know, to what your heart desires, what you authentically desire, no matter, what other people are doing, where they are in their season of life, where you think you need to be. and getting really still and reflective and simplifying your life and simplifying that which maybe you feel it's heavy or it's too much or it would be chaotic. I don't know why that's coming up, but for whoever that's for, um, just really simplifying your life. I know that you have everything that you need, you know, when you're able to tap really into to hearing, right? Not just hearing what you think you want to hear, not misconstruing what someone said, not purposely trying to misunderstand something, but really getting clear and sitting in that stillness, going for a walk, going into whatever type of meditation, whatever like calms, gets you out of the brain, gets you out of your head, and brings you more into your heart. Allow those practices to flow through. Um, yeah, that's all. Love you all. Take good care.